that was a great hockey game. I just want to start off by saying I imagine there's been times I've been prouder to be a Dallas fan, but man, tonight. And I've talked a lot about Corey Perry over the years and how much he's driven me nuts. It is games like this that make Corey Perry popular with people who like to see key goals scored at key times. And yes, he does tend to take bad penalties in games. Yes, he does play on or over the edge, but this is why he has been a star in the NHL on and off for his entire career. And I really can't see Dallas pulling a comeback, but we're going to have a game on Monday. And I'll be completely honest here. I had committed tonight expecting Tampa to win. I expected a Stanley Cup to be awarded tonight, and starting tomorrow to start to try to figure out, okay, now what? We will have a game on Monday. This, and again, for Tampa, they did everything right. I don't think Tampa needs to make any changes in the next game. Just keep doing it. Eventually it'll work. This was just Dallas not going away. So there's no Stamkos, of course, but for Dallas, no Hintz, no Faksa, no Como, and on and on and on. Johns, Bishop, yada, yada, yada. And again, it's not an excuse. It's not. It's just how hockey works, and I am sure that numerous players who are in the lineup for both teams are really banged up. McDonough, I guarantee, is really banged up right now. Hedman has been fighting through injuries these entire playoffs. Braden Point, of course, has missed games here and there with injuries during the playoffs. These teams are both absolutely beat up. And Dickinson came out on the ice, and he clearly was having trouble skating. And I thought, okay, so Dickinson's coming out. They were talking about, I guess, Robertson's going to go in. They talked about how Dowling was coming into his first playoff game to center the third line and how tough that was going to be for him, and how all of the matchups for Dallas get more difficult, especially killing penalties, with the penalty killers for Dallas, almost all of their top penalty killers being out. Como, Faksa, Hintz being three of their four top forwards when it comes to the penalty kill. Tampa Bay hitting early, and it looked like they had more jump early as well. So Tampa Bay came out tonight with the attitude of, we're going to end this tonight. Dangerous chance for Gord at 3 minutes. Sagan with a high stick. Power play for Tampa. What we didn't know was this was the only power play that Tampa drew tonight. Dallas played a much cleaner game tonight. There really wasn't much there for either team for the referees to call. And this game was called very, very well. So after a game that everybody complained about the penalties that were called and all the penalties that were this and that, I expect a lot of comments below this video about how these weren't called and those weren't called. I have to say, in a game like this, I'm really glad they let them play. So, good Stars penalty kill, 3 shots for Tampa during that. Sekera then gets hurt. Stars down to 5D. And Sekera didn't play a lot, so that added to Lindell's ice time, Klingberg's ice time, and Heiskanen's as they're trying to make up for that loss. And Lindell, going into what would become the second overtime, had already played 62 minutes in this game. So this is a Dallas team that, their depth had already been tested, and it just got tested over and over and over in game, where Dickinson's not 100%, and now Sekera was down as well. Better first, I thought, for the Dallas Stars, though, than in Game 1, or Game 4, I should say. Home run pass to Kucherov almost connected. There were some home run pass attempts by both teams. By that, I mean they're in their own zone, they lob it up and over, and they're trying to, get the breakaway at the other end. But then Perry scores from Sagan and Alexiak at 17:52, and on that play, Sergachev had been hurt. So I no doubt in my mind Sergachev's not 100%. I don't know that anybody, after all of these games over such a short period of time, I don't know that any of these guys are going to be 100%. I really don't. So we go to the second period, Dallas up 1-0. There was an early chance for Braden Point, which was stopped. Perry then had a chance for his second goal. Vasilevsky denied him. Tampa Bay pressures at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And a lot of shot blocking going on by the Stars, but they can't block them all. So Point ties it from Kucherov, or Palat ties it, I should say, from Kucherov and Point at 4 minutes and 37 seconds. And it was a great deke that led to that goal by Palat, and that's the 8th goal for that line, for the Point line, in the Stanley Cup Finals in 5 games. And it wasn't the end of their scoring in this either. So that line has really given Dallas trouble because it's a fantastic line, Palat, Point, and Kucherov. It is so hard to control those three guys on the ice. Radulov then had a backhand that was stopped on a Ruda turnover. Radulov wasn't happy, I don't think, with himself on that because that was the best he could get on that, and it was close. At the half, Bolts led in shots and hits, and Sekera was still out. So leading the game in both shots and hits, and they would do that throughout this game, shows that Tampa Bay, they had control of the puck, and when they didn't, they were hitting every Dallas star that touched it. And they were trying to wear down Dallas every single shift. And they did pretty well. The Bolts were pressuring the undermanned Stars defense. Verhaeghe takes a penalty. Stars go to the power play. They needed a goal. Vasilevsky denied a late power play chance. And yeah, it wasn't going tonight. It wasn't going to happen. There was a scrum then with 25 seconds left, and that's a rarity tonight. I didn't see there were hardly any scrums in this game. This really, in all honesty, both teams seemed to back off and just play the game and stay away from their extracurriculars. There were very few penalties, and there really, like I said, there really wasn't that much there to call. So we go to the third period tied at 1. Sekera was back, but how was he? And he was so good that he played a 10-second shift, and then Bonus takes him off the ice. And every time he was on the ice, Tampa was trying to flatten him. And again, I know there's people who don't like it. There's people who don't like, oh, he's already hurt. What are they targeting him for? Because he's hurt. It's the way hockey's been played forever. Vasilevsky flubbed it behind his net, but he did recover and made a save on that play. Pavelski had a chance that was stopped, and I felt like that was the last gasp for the Stars. Like, this is just them trying. Then Sergachev scored from Point at 3 minutes and 38 seconds. And I thought that was it. I put on a Tampa Bay jersey. I thought, all right, so this is their night. Because, again, they've been able to play pretty darn well with the lead. But Dallas, they don't give up. So Tampa Bay, I felt, just needed to shut it down from here. And the shots were actually 4-1 Dallas at 7.5 minutes. But I don't know how dangerous those shots were necessarily. Because I wasn't, going on all the high danger chance websites and all that. Short shifts by the Bolts. They were holding the Stars to the outside. So it felt like, yes, the Stars were getting chances. Most of them were to the outside. And they were shots that Vasilevsky was able to see. That's the key thing with both Vasilevsky and Hudobin. If they can see it, they're probably going to stop it. Although Hudobin's numbers in the 3 games previous to tonight were lousy. That, to me, is more of a reflection of the defense in front of him, but I understand why people are suddenly saying, things about Hudobin in his game. So, Coleman line pushed at the half. Hudobin held it. There's a Chernak penalty, and I felt like this was likely the Stars' last chance. 8 minutes and 54 seconds left. They have a power play. They're down 2-1. They did control the puck, but again, it's kept to the outside. Really solid penalty kill. Vasilevsky was holding it out, and it looked like this is probably going to be it. But then, who is it? Joe Pavelski. Pavelski and Perry have been huge pickups for Dallas. So we've talked about Tampa and how Coleman and Gaudreau have been huge pickups, and Shattenkirk has helped Tampa. And these players that have come in and really changed the makeup of that team and made Tampa a lot tougher. Pavelski and Perry have both earned their money in the postseason. Pavelski, that's his 13th goal. And he's warranting a career video once we're through these playoffs, because it's remarkable. At 13-15 from Heiskanen and Sagan, and then I was torn. I'm like, so I've got the Tampa jersey on. Do I leave it on? Yeah, I'll leave that on. And if there'd been a live stream, there would have been Tampa fans saying, he's jinxing them. Not intentionally. So Tampa Bay presses with 5 minutes left. Cirelli hits the post, and we don't know at the time how important that's going to be. And I put on the board, next goal wins this one. Last few minutes, back and forth play, but we're going to overtime. So in the first overtime, they mentioned Tampa Bay was 6-1. The Stars were 4-1. And of course, that one was game 4, which they lost in overtime to Tampa. So that doesn't include the round robin either. So both teams pretty good in overtime. Heiskanen had a giveaway that led to an early chance for the Bolts. Janmark had a wraparound that was cleared. Kucherov had a chance that deflected wide as the point line was attacking. And every time they touched the puck, I kind of had my heart in my throat because I'm like, that Braden Point scares the heck out of me. Shots were 1-0 though for Tampa Bay at 5 minutes. The Stars iced it at 5 minutes and 44 seconds. They were stuck at 0 shots for a while. They had 0 shots 6.5 minutes in. Tampa Bay then iced it. And then it was the Stars' turn at 7:49 as both teams, you could tell they were getting tired. And it's understandable. They went to overtime last night. It's a rarity that teams go to overtime on back-to-back nights. In fact, there was a scoreboard that said during one of the stoppages, the first time that we've had back-to-back overtime games. Goal line stand then by Hudobin. Ben missed the net. No shots for the Stars 12 minutes in. Pavelski blocked a chance for point. The Stars iced it with 6:32 left. The shots were 4-0. So it's one of those plays where Dallas isn't getting it out, but they're not allowing shots either. They're blocking everything. A lot of shot blocks for Dallas. No flow, though, for Dallas. There was no room in the middle. So Tampa Bay was clogging the middle every time Dallas did get the puck. They couldn't get more than one pass going. That second pass was getting picked off every time. Tampa Bay presses with 4 minutes left. Then there was an icing at 3:13 left, but it shouldn't have been. So they called Dallas for icing, but if you looked at it on the replay, that went off Vasilevsky's toe. Vasilevsky didn't go to the linesman and go, I'm sorry, that went off my toe. That shouldn't have been icing. No. So that's dishonesty from Andrei Vasilevsky, and I'm not a huge fan of dishonesty from goaltenders. I'm just kidding. No goaltender in their right mind would actually admit, oh yeah, sorry, linesman, don't have that at the other end. What was interesting though was that when that happened, Dallas then creates chaos. Players off, players on. Players off, players on. Who was on the ice? Were you on the? I don't know. Who were the guys that were on the ice? So I have to say I appreciated it because, again, it probably shouldn't have been an icing anyways. And if Dallas had seen that replay, they would have gone nuts on the bench. So killing time so they get a bit of a breather before the face off. Good call. The Stars get their first shot with 2 minutes and 7 seconds left from Jamie Benn. Just before that, Ben had a really good chance, and I yelled at the TV when he passed it. He tried to get it over to Radulov. Hedman knocks it away, and I was pretty darn sure. I had flashbacks to last year against St. Louis in Game 7. Oh, that was fun. When Ben just missed it, and I started having flashbacks to that. But we go to double overtime. Palat had a backhand that narrowly missed the net. There were so many near misses for Tampa Bay in both the first overtime and the second, where they're just not quite hitting the net. They're not quite clicking. A Dallas stick would just get in there at the last moment. Gurianov had a break. He missed the net. Vasilevsky stopped a Cogliano shot. Both teams with, as I said, near misses. So I wrote it on the board. Both teams near misses, just in case I didn't mention it, which I already have. And then, there's times where whoever's DJing and queuing up the music gets it absolutely right. And Lamal's Never-Ending Story plays. The theme song from the movie Never-Ending Story. And I have to say, having that queued up is fantastic. And I love the movie. I love the song. And I got a good chuckle when I heard Never-Ending Story almost halfway through the overtime. And I say almost because before the halfway mark, Perry, on a play that I was pretty sure was going to get broken up, he gets the goal from Klingberg and Sagan at 9 minutes and 23 seconds. So I celebrate, I cheer, I jumped up and down a bit, clapped like a madman, and then they said, wait a minute, Tampa Bay's looking at it on the bench in case Perry was offside. And I was so sure that this was going to end up being offside and it was going to come back. And thankfully, on the replay, it was onside. So we get a victory for the Dallas Stars in double overtime, and they live to fight another day. And honestly, again, I've said this, I'm very proud of Dallas getting this far. If they lose in Game 6, they lose in Game 6. But this is that fight back. This is that cardiac kids label that they've had throughout the playoffs. And it does sort of feel similar to the Vancouver Canucks in 94. It does, because we count them out. And I did that with Vancouver in 94. We're Game 5 against the Rangers. I said, all right, this is it. I recorded on my VHS because I'm old. And I was like, I was starting a routine of last game of the year I was going to record. I'd done that with Montreal and LA the year before. And so I was recording game 5. And so when I got home, because I went out and recorded, I watched the game somewhere else. And when I got home, I wrote on the tape, because we had like a strip that you'd write the name of each movie so you wouldn't just have like blank ones. And I wrote The Miracle. And then game 6, I put The Miracle 2. And those were VHS tapes that if I was having a bad day, I could put in my VHS and watch. And I didn't have game 7 recorded, oddly enough. But this was really, really intense. A lot of hitting. The shots, 10-8 for Tampa in the first, 13-6 Tampa in the second. In the third, Dallas outshoots them 13-7 because their life was on the line. Then in the first overtime, the shots were 7-2 in favor of Tampa and 5-4 Tampa in the second overtime. So Dallas manages 6 shots in 29 minutes and 23 seconds, and that sixth shot went in. 42-33 were the shots in favor of Tampa. The hits were 64-57 for Tampa. Like I said, every time Dallas touched the puck, they got hit. Power plays 0 for 2 for Dallas, 0 for 1 for Tampa. Dallas's power play is still an issue, but they live to fight another day. Hudobin saves 39 out of 41. Where's all the calling out Hudobin for not being very good? He was very good tonight, played very, very well. Couple of bobbles here and there, but he played very, very well. Vasilevsky, 30 saves on 33 shots. He had an excellent game as well. Both goaltenders showed up to play. Your 3 stars are Perry, Sagan, and Point. They live. Dallas is still here. They're still around. They're still playing. And as a Dallas fan, I don't know. We'll see how far this goes. I didn't expect this. I know Brian Burke, him on tonight on Hockey Night in Canada, he said he had bet against Dallas in every single series before this one, and he's learned his lesson not to bet against Dallas. So he believed they were going to win Game 4 in overtime, even though he said they don't really deserve it, but they're probably going to win it. And this one too, he said, yeah, Dallas is going to win it. So Burke's won over as Dallas being able to win these games. And the Cardiac Kids do it again. They are now 5-1 in overtime. Tampa falls to 6-2. I would not be surprised on Monday to see overtime again, and I am here for it. This has been a very good series. For hockey fans who've decided to not watch these playoffs for any reason, and there's various reasons people give, they're missing out. This game tonight, this was a really, really good game. Even the slow parts of the first overtime, these guys are just so tired, and there's so much hitting going on that it was interesting to watch. And so Tampa's, they just have to refocus for Monday. I will say this for Tampa, they don't get rattled. They've shown throughout the playoffs they just don't get rattled. The thing is, neither does Dallas. So it's really been a good finals. I'm glad it's going to Game 6. We'll see whether or not we get a Game 7 as well. Wouldn't that be amazing? Let me know your thoughts regarding this game in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video, there will be a Game 6 on Monday, and I'll be here to watch it. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.